Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video. And yes, you read the title of this review video. I'm reviewing a film starring Jerry Lewis. And seeing as how this year marks the film's anniversary, yes, I'm reviewing The Nutty Professor. Yes, who doesn't know The Nutty Professor? I think, when somebody brings up The Nutty Professor, usually, most people would think of the Eddie Murphy version, but they should also know the Jerry Lewis version, the very first Nutty Professor film. Because, when I first knew about the Nutty Professor, I first knew about the Eddie Murphy version, and then, later on, I learned and discovered the original, which being the one with Jerry Lewis. Yeah, Jerry Lewis, who plays the main character, and he also directed The Nutty Professor, so that's pretty cool. So, I'll go ahead and read the description / the story. Julius Kelp, aka The Nutty Professor, played by the late, legendary Jerry Lewis, is a college professor with a problem: clumsy, awkward, articulate and unattractive. I hope I got the first word right. I don't know. Julius is a hopeless case when it comes to women, but he's desperate to impress a beautiful student, Stella, played by Stella Stevens. Fortunately, he does know something about chemistry and decides to concoct a potion that will turn him into a whole new man. In this classic comedy, Julius Suiv alter ego, if I got that one word right, Buddy Love must win Stella's affections before his short-lived potion runs out. So as we all should know about the story of the Nutty Professor, it's a take on the classic Dr. and Jekyll and Hyde story, because the professor, Julius Kelp, taking this potion, this formula that would alter him and make him good-looking and, a much better-looking man, and he would be accepted and appreciated by the people. And yeah, because him being clumsy and awkward, and some of the people at the school, they have a grudge against him, like especially Dr. Mortimer S. Warfield, yeah, I think I got that name right, played by the late Del Moore. He's the dean of the university, yeah. And I tell you, because his personality and how he acts over Professor Kelp, just because he wants to keep everything straight and perfect at the university, and I don't know, because he's close to losing his cool on the professor. Even say, even one of the high school students bullying the professor, like a student bullying a professor, that's crossing the line, you know what I'm saying? And the bully who attacked Professor Kelp, that was Warziski, I think I got that right, yeah, played by the late Med Flory. And I'd like to point this out, even Doug Walker, aka the Nostalgia Critic, pointed this out. All the students in this film, they don't look like teenagers. They don't look like students. They look like they're in their 30s. And yeah, I actually agree on that, because they don't. You watch the movie and you look at them and they don't look like teenagers. That's just, I don't know. I mean, and for this being a 1960s film, you get my point. And by the way, because even Doug Walker had a good point, because, yeah, it is kind of creepy, somebody who works at a school and university having a crush on a student. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, in The Nutty Professor, to me, it doesn't bother me. I'm just saying, And I don't think it's... I don't know, because I think they tried their best not to go too far. you get my point, and I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to explain. But yeah, and yeah, Stella Purdy being played by Stella Stevens, and that's funny because sometimes a character being played by an actor that goes by like if it's the first or last name. In this case, Stella Stevens playing Stella Purdy. Both their first names are Stella, so that's pretty funny. So yeah, I think even, like Stella had the professor's back at times, and she at one point, like, I don't know if she did this intentionally, but she dropped a book where, giving Julius Kelp an idea of being, like, tough and, having, like, being fitness or something like that, and, Kelp going to a gym, and it's pretty funny even when he tries to lift a weight, and he drops it, and it's a cartoony moment where his arms grow big, like they're tall. You know what I'm saying? And when he's home in his bed sleeping, his arms are still stretched out. Like it's pretty funny. Even reaching for his feet and scratching. That's pretty funny. But yeah, and like at one point seeing a doctor and like trying to, get some help and to figure out how to be good looking and change his looks and stuff like that until he creates a potion / a formula. And in his lab, at the university, he secretly makes this potion, this formula, and also he has this bird named Jennifer. Like, Jennifer has some funny moments, keep quiet, very important, stuff like that. And even, like, Jennifer at times won't shut up. And the first time that Professor Kelp takes the potion, well, you think that he's going to transform into a good-looking guy, but at first, he turns into a monster. Like, he's a bit furry, and his face is purple, like very light purple and such. And it makes you think that they're going for the classic Dr. and Jekyll and Hyde. That's what you think at first, but then right after that, we cut to the citizens all staring at Kelp, and still that makes you think, oh, they're staring at his ugliness because of how ugly he is, and he's a monster. But we find out, and when he makes his way to this place that Stella mentioned a little bit earlier called the Purple Pit, like basically like a place where all the students at the university get together, have fun, and chat, When he makes his way there, we then see he is a good-looking guy now, and, nobody knows who he is, and, they don't know who his name is until Kelp, as a good-looking guy, comes up with his name, his alter ego, Buddy Love. So Julius Kelp, being a good-looking guy, goes by Buddy Love. And Buddy Love basically just being so mean to the people. Basically, he's hurting others to make himself feel better. And he thinks that, it's working, and, it does make him feel better. But obviously, as the film goes on, he starts to realize that it's not working. It's not making him feel better. And of course, him realizing how awful he's being to the people, and especially, well, I don't know, like, I don't know, like, I'm not sure if he was, like, being really mean to Stella, but, the thing about Stella is she doesn't really like Buddy Love, but there's something about Buddy that she finds attractive about him. You get my point. Also, like, very later on in the film, because both the personalities of Julius Kelp and Buddy Love, they start to combine, like, it's like they're fighting each other, like, going from one to the other, stuff like that, and especially with his voice, because, Professor Kelp's voice being like this, and, how Jerry Lewis did the voice of the professor. So going from Kelp's normal voice to how Buddy Love sounds, and even say when Buddy is at times singing, like most notable song that he sings is Black Magic. And a couple other songs that he sings, like, he goes back and forth from, Kelp's voice to Buddy's voice, pretty funny stuff, especially when, Buddy has a serious talk with Stella at one point, something that, something that had never been said to Stella, something very sweet and kind that Buddy said, looking at her and like happy moments and stuff like that. And as his voice goes back to Kelp, what I mean is he just bolts, like he jumps over and he runs away. That is pretty funny. We even get like a flashback of Julius as a baby, and literally Jerry Lewis as Professor Kelp, as a baby. And we see Kelp's parents, which they're, let me see, yeah, Elmer Kelp and Edwina Kelp, played by the late Howard Morris and Elvia Allman. Yeah, and gosh, like, Edwina just being kind of harsh on her husband, Julius's father, like, don't you say honey to me, and like, what was that? Like, nothing, my dear, stuff like that. And even say at one point, Julius sent a copy of the formula to his parents, just in case, so he can remember, if there's a certain point, he can remember the formula and how to make it again. So yeah. So, throughout the rest of the film, Buddy, from Buddy to Kelp, and, being at the Purple Pit, and still being harsh on the people at, say, the Purple Pit, and even say, well, of course, this was obvious that it was coming, when first at the Purple Pit, Buddy confronting the students at the university, especially, Whiskey. I hope I am saying that name right. And by the way, the late Norman Alden, he had a part in this. He was a football player / student. Yeah. And by the way, Howard Morris, he would be best known for his voice roles of Gopher in Winnie the Pooh, and I think, the Beaver from Lady and the Tramp, got that whistling voice, and for Garfield fans, he was the voice of Wade the Duck, in Garfield and Friends, of Orson's Barn. Yeah, that segment of Garfield and Friends. And even say, like, very later on in the film, because Buddy Love has been invited to the senior prom, and Buddy Love first meeting with Dr. Mortimer S. Warfield, yeah, the dean of the university, because he has not heard of this Buddy Love, what's a Buddy Love? I think, yeah, that's what he says, and, I would like to meet him at my office at 3 o'clock. So, I tell you, because Del Moore and him playing Dr. Mortimer and his personality, oh, he was so good. Just trying to keep it together. So, and even say Buddy Love, like, how he treats Dr. Mortimer, like, he first questions Dr. Mortimer about his dressing and his tailor, yeah, and then gives him acting lessons, like, oh, Romeo, and stuff like that. I think even at one point pulling Mortimer's pants down. It was funny. And then, at the senior prom, Julius is back as himself, but of course he knows that he has to turn back into Buddy Love, because Buddy Love is expected at the senior prom. Even at one point, Julius has a little dance with Stella and talking about buddy love. And, when it comes up to buddy love to appear and Julius, he has to, take the formula. Oh, even at one point, a little bit earlier, Jennifer, Julius's bird, drank the whole formula. Like, has nothing happened? Did that not affect Jennifer? I mean, Jennifer being a bird, but who knows? And thus, he calls up his parents, and his dad picks up, and thus, he gets the details and basics about how to make the formula, and thus, he remakes the formula, he takes it, and boom, he turns back into Buddy Love. And by the way, another thing about Doug Walker, he also pointed this out, and yeah, because it's obvious. We never see him go through that transformation again. Like when he first takes it, he turns into a monster. We never see that again. Why not? I mean, I guess we know by now, but we see him take the potion, and then boom, we then see him as Buddy Love. So I think we know what happens. So thus, he turns back into Buddy Love, appears at the senior prom, and performs a couple of songs. And when it comes up to one of the best songs that he has sung, Black Magic, that's when Kelp's voice comes back in, Black Magic, and, well, Julius has no choice. He tells the truth to everybody in a very well put together emotional speech about being yourself. Like, it is a good speech, and as he's being exposed, like, he turns back into his old self, Julius Kelp, and explaining that, he realized that he didn't like what he was doing, and he made a mistake. And, you gotta accept who you are, how you look, and all that stuff. That's very important stuff right there, and that he explains. It's true. And even say everybody, like, they have no words. Like, you can tell. They're very moved by what Julius had to say. Even Julius, before he walks off, he, gives a shout out to Dr. Mortimer, saying that, he loves everybody in the university, and he would not want to leave the university, and get fired, for that matter. Gosh, even Stella, she got emotional at Julia's speech, and one tear comes down. And when, Kelp walks off the stage, as I said, no words from everybody. I think they just, I think they leave or something. I don't know. And oh my gosh, I almost forgot to mention her. I think she's Mortimer's assistant. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Millie Lemon, played by the late Kathleen Freeman. Yeah, Kathleen Freeman. She was good in anything that she was in. Her funny moments in this film, like, one funny moment, and, this is at the beginning of the film where, during the opening credits, we see the professor teaching and, pouring potions, and right as the credits finish, he's pouring one potion and, boom, there's a big explosion, and the fire department is brought in, and of course, Millie informs Dr. Mortimer about this, and it's pretty funny, and, the door broke off, and Millie is wondering where the professor is, and the professor is under the door. Like, it's pretty funny. So back to where Julius, he gave his speech. After he gave that heartwarming, emotional speech, backstage, he's by himself until Stella comes in, and I think, yeah, she did forgive Julius and, gave some wise words to him. And, she kisses him, and it's pretty funny because we see the words, "That's all, folks," but then the word "not," steps in. That's not all, folks, because the movie's not done just yet, because the epilogue, we see Julius, once again teaching his class, but then his parents step in, and basically, they're selling the formula to the students, and yeah, like, both Julius and Stella, they're just like, oh my gosh, and they get out of there, and, you know, a happy ending for them. But we see that Stella took some of the formula, and she winked at us audiences, and yeah, I almost forgot about that. And that leaves off us questioning, like, is she going to use the formula on Julius? Like, why does she have that with her? Like, you know, there's a lot of questions to that. And, you know, and right before the movie finishes, we see the words, "the beginning," like, you know, the beginning for both her and Julius Kelp. And this was pretty cool. Like, you don't see this very often at the end of movies, because we see the main cast come in, and they take a bow, and as their names show up. And, of course, Jerry Lewis being the last one to take a bow, and he trips, you know, because, you know, Julius being clumsy, and he hits the camera. That's a great way to end the film right there. The Nutty Professor is definitely a comedy cult classic. The story was good, the characters were good and funny, its funny moments and its emotional moments. Everything to the original Nutty Professor film was really good. And I'm giving the original Nutty Professor film 8 out of 10 stars. Yes, 8 out of 10 stars for the original Nutty Professor film. And what about you guys? What did you think of the original Nutty Professor film, directed/starring the late legendary Jerry Lewis? And what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like as always. So, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of the original Nutty Professor film. More review videos coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. And stay tuned later tonight, because the next film I'm going to be reviewing is one particular underrated animated film that was supposed to be the best animated film of all time. This animated film is all about a thief and a cobbler. You probably know what I'm talking about. Stay tuned for that. Take care, and peace out.